I would say that neighborhoods, cities, and regions could be seen as ways of life. And this could be a very good market for the future, but this could be also a very interesting thing for people who study, for people who research, but also for policies, for urban and public policies. So I would say in anthropological way that after global similarities, homogenization, and local differences, indigenation, and I'm using the dichotomy of Arjuna Padurai, probably relativities are making its way. And we have to tackle this idea of relativities. I think we all do this. You see, when we say that, well, where are we going to eat this weekend? Well, perhaps Italian one? Or, well, no, I was in an Italian one yesterday. Well, perhaps Afghanistan or whatever. So we already want this experience, and we do it in our everyday life. So if we do it in our everyday life, in our city, well, that's probably because we want to do it, and there is a market for it. So it's an interesting solution. Of course, this solution could be a more folklore one, a more spectacular one, just showbiz, or, well, this could be do it in another way, in a more cozy, familiar, ethnographic, whatever way. Okay? So, I would say that there is potential for regions, cities, and neighborhoods to play this role. And I would say that ways of life may well be a new kind of global market for cultural diversity, and Euro-Mediterranean is a place for that, for sure. Well, and now the question marks. When we talk about Euro-Mediterranean city, what are we talking about? Well, for sure, lots of things. For sure, lots of things. It's a way of life, a set of ways of life, a way of feeling life, a way of changing life, or for changing life, a way of making a break in life, a way of experience youth in life, a way to retire from working life, a way of making a living, and so on and on. I would say that we have to tackle all these solutions, and we have to present them. There are not only ways of researching about Euro-Mediterranean city, but they are also ways of making Euro-Mediterranean city a more global city, a place for conviviality, a place where people want to go. Well, I just did an exercise, an empirical one with only 10 interviewees. I did it by email, and I used also Facebook as platform, as a way to experience these new platforms as a form to research. Well, I just had 10 interviewees, but I think it was interesting because some of them were colleagues from the university. Because, well, the idea was, what are the ideas that you refer, that you associate with Euro-Mediterranean cities? And the ideas were there. People referred the words that wanted to refer. And it's very interesting, guys, I would say. Seaside in first place, amusement, food, heritage, colors, public spaces, urban life, familiar welcoming, diversity. So I think with 10 interviewees, we have here some of the ideas that we associate with Euro-Mediterranean city. And, well, something that we could explore in further research. So, could be this a model? Well, yes and no. I would say like oh, now I forgot the author that wrote Invisible Cities, but for sure you know. Italo Calvino, sorry. I would say with Italo Calvino, in his Invisible Cities, well, we all know that all the invisible cities were Venice, of course. But, well, if we didn't know that, of course, within a model, we have several invisible cities. So, of course, we have several models. And, of course, people travel to Euro-Mediterranean cities sometimes for the heritage, sometimes for the seaside, sometimes for diversity, sometimes for, well, whatever. There are several models within this model, but they could be explored as ways of life, and they could be turned into a kind of global models. I would say, and agreeing with what Campbell said, I would say that yes, we were colonized by the north of Europe, but well, it's time for the reflow. So we are in a reflow time, and it's time to turn global what we have as good things. And the north of Europe knows that many of those things that are there are very good things that we could and we can export. Well, can we make it global? Well, what is Bali about? And Hong Kong and Macau, parts of California, Santa Monica, for instance, and Venice Beach, and Dubai. Well, aren't them all just bad simulations or simulacrum of what we have in European cities? Well, I think we have a very great, wealthy year in the Euro-Mediterranean city models, and I think we should explore them.